Well, this lighting. No. Okay, this is a little bit better, I feel like. Are we zoomed in? Oh, no, we are. How many different angles can I find to film in front of my bookshelves from? Hey, what's up? I'm Allie, and welcome back to my channel. So, the recent reads thing has just, like, gotten out of hand for me, and that, like, I just can't keep up now. Originally, I was like, this is working great because I'm not reading anything, so, like, I can do a recent reads every now and then. Well, then that backfired when I actually started reading again. So I'm a little bit behind. So a lot of these books I have already talked about previously in vlogs, but it's always nice to have one place where you can find my thoughts and feelings about books that I've recently read. So I have about 5 books here to tell you about today just for time constraints, and then I'll be having another one soon, very soon after this one. Yeah, a lot of anticipated releases in this one, and probably the next one too, just because summertime, there was a ton of my anticipated releases that had come out, and I actually got around to them for once in my life. Let's go ahead. As usual, I will have timestamps listed down below for any of the titles that I am going to be talking about, so you can skip around to see whatever it is that you wanna see. Alright, the first book I'm going to talk about, and I did a whole vlog dedicated to this, is Dark and Shallow Lies by Ginny Meyer Sane, coming out in, I believe, the end of August. So, yeah, keep an eye out for that. It is a kind of murder mystery that takes place in New Orleans, and we are on the bayou, and it's very atmospheric and dark, and just the atmosphere in and of itself is like one of my favorites that I've read so far. The author did a fantastic job kind of setting up this atmosphere, but we follow a girl who, she goes and lives with her grandma during the summer, and all of her best friends kind of live there too. Everyone that she's grown up with, they call them the summer children because they were all born within like the same summer. And her best friend, who she considers like her twin flame, had gone missing a few months previously and was never found. So she shows up and she is expecting to kind of solve this and figure out where her best friend is. She is feeling the loss so hard, and on top of that, there's kind of like this psychic and magical element to this story as well, where some of the summer children kind of have these abilities, and her grandma is a psychic, and so she has been having these flashes to what she believes are her best friend's basically last day alive as she's being chased right before she went missing. This is about her kind of reconnecting, and like no one is cooperating with her. Everyone's acting weird. All of the kids have kind of split. There's a lot of tension between them. There's a lot of things that have just gone really unexplained. And so we have this mystery, and then there's also a previous murder mystery that had happened that the children have made like scary stories about, and they think that maybe like he was involved. And then there's also this newcomer, and no one really knows where he's come from and all this other stuff, and she feels very gravitated towards this newcomer, but of course there's all these previous relationships that are at work as well. And I just really enjoyed this. I loved seeing the different dynamics between the different characters. I thought the mystery was set up extremely well. You kind of know where it's going, but at any given point you're not really sure what to expect. And even though there were some things that I guessed at, it didn't take away from the enjoyment of the story, because the writing in and of itself ends up being somewhat of a plot twist. So there's like plot twist after plot twist after plot twist that just make this so absolutely interesting. And I just really, again, the atmosphere just really brought me in. I love the atmosphere of this so much. It was silly in all the right parts, but it was also like dark and gritty. There is, like, in my opinion, a very unnecessary romance plot added to this that, like, I just didn't care about, but I know that that is a big part of marketing YA. So I will say this is one of the better YA mystery type books that I read, thriller at times. I just really love the atmosphere. I love that it was like weird and wonky at times, but it was also very serious, and I ate it up. It was just so good. I'm giving this a 4.5 again. I just really enjoyed it. Was it perfect? No, but it was just a really enjoyable story, and it did exactly what I felt like it promised and set out to do. Then we have Every Last Fear, and this was on this is one of my 5-star predictions for the year. I talked about this pretty briefly in my mid-year check-in, and what the hell was this book? It sounds so intriguing based on the synopsis. We are following a guy who finds out, he gets a call, his whole family has been murdered while they're in Mexico. He's not really sure what exactly, why they got up and went to Mexico. Like, there's a lot of weird things to question here. But the only other living member of his family is his brother, who is in jail because of a girl that was murdered previously. But there's a whole, like, Netflix documentary series about how his brother is innocent. I was expecting this to deal more with, like, seeing behind the scenes of the documentary, because it seemed like quite a highlight in the synopsis, but the documentary is just kind of mentioned here and there. It doesn't really play like a massive role in anything, especially because like the brother is just like, he thinks it's all bullshit and all this other stuff. But basically he has to figure out like why his family was in Mexico. The FBI is weirdly involved, and he's like, I don't know, like something's not adding up here. So he's trying to get to the bottom of like why his family was there, like what was going on, why authorities are like trying to cover why some of the things are trying to be covered up, and it's him kind of going around and trying to figure this out. Honestly, I can't even remember that much. It was so unmemorable. We jump between like his point of view and then also his father's point of view before they go to Mexico. And then we're also kind of looking back at at a party where his brother supposedly like murdered this person. So like, it was just bad. It was just bad all around. And honestly, like the mystery in of itself was just like whatever. I stopped really caring about anything that was happening at that point. It was a little all over the place. We're trying to look into this guy's life and like see his friends and whatnot, but there was no real connection, and a lot of the characters just felt added in just to have characters, I guess. I couldn't really tell. There was a lot of like political weirdness happening, like making jokes about liberals and conservatives, but then like not really, there wasn't really a point to it. Like I couldn't really tell like if they were just thrown in there to try to appease people who might be reading but like just don't add it. I don't know, like it was so weird. There was so many times where I'm like, why did you include like this joke in here? Like, this doesn't make any sense and it doesn't add anything. Like I don't feel any better towards the main character. Like now I'm just confused. So there was just a lot of weird things that were going on, and it just was not a good time. It was not a good time in any way, shape, or form. And when we got to the reveal, it felt very overdone. We weren't really led to it. It took too long to get to that point. It was just all such a very downhill very quick. So honestly, I would say skip out on this. The synopsis is about the most exciting thing about the book. So yeah. I ended up giving this, what the hell did I give this? It's not much. 2 stars. I gave this 2 stars. That feels generous right now, I'm not gonna lie. Then I had to redeem myself, and I have also already talked about this in my check-in video, but The 10,000 Doors of January. Thank goodness this book came into my life during that time. I basically read this in one sitting. Fantastic. Honestly, like this is going to be in my top 5 best books of the year. I can already tell you this. I just absolutely love this. This is absolutely a love story. 2 stories. I took a lot of notes on this one because I just really enjoyed it that much. What's it about? Oh my god. How do I even... So this is like a dimension, like world travel. Well, let me back up. Okay. This is also a dual kind of perspective book. We follow a young girl who her father is like out doing trades and stuff for this man, and she's kind of raised in this man's estate and is learning to be a good girl. She's also mixed and so doesn't feel like she fits anywhere in society. A lot of derogatory and racist remarks are made to her, but she doesn't ever quite fit in. We find out that she kind of she comes across this book, and when she touches this book, like a door appears, and she considers like going through the door and whatnot, but things happen and basically she's told like don't believe in that stuff, blah blah blah. But years later we find out that there are in fact these doors that go between worlds. So then our other perspective is about a young girl who meets a man that comes through a door one day, and she is kind of pondering over this and decides that she is going to go find this man through these doors. So she goes off exploring, and she ends up becoming like an explorer of doors and finding all these different worlds and whatnot. And I absolutely loved just both of the stories that were being told. I loved how we got to go to some of the different worlds. I would have liked to see more of the worlds, but I love that we got to see that. Also about like found family and just adventure and loving and hope and the things that come with stories. And so it was so beautifully written. I loved the writing style of this, and I just wanted to like live inside of its pages. It was just so good. I will say that this isn't like a super lighthearted story. There were times where I was like on the verge of tears, and things can be gory and rough at times. And as I said, like she is constantly mocked and made fun of, and racist remarks are made towards her. So it's not like a light-hearted read as much as it looks like it could be with the flowery romance type cover. No, very much serious. It has a pretty serious undertone. There's some like villains, of course, in this story that are hunting our main characters. So we're trying to figure out like what has happened, what is going on with these doors, and they're disappearing, and what's up with her father, where is he at, and are the people that she can trust really people that she can trust and whatnot. Oh god, it's just so good. It's just so good. It is a slower paced book, but I think that it is so well worth it. The story is just beautiful, and I loved it. I'm giving that, if you didn't guess, a 5 out of 5 stars because I really, really enjoyed it. Then we have The Girl from the Sea, and this is a graphic novel. This was a gift from Haley. Thank you again, Haley. I will keep thanking you because this book is gorgeous. As I said, this is a graphic novel, and the coloring in it is just absolutely stunning. I love just like the characters and whatnot. I just think everything in this is absolutely beautiful. But this follows a young girl who one day comes across this other girl. She thinks that she is having a delusion because she was just drowning, and now she's on shore and she sees this girl and she thinks she's a delusion, so she kisses her because what's the harm in that? She kind of has these plans that she's going to stay in the closet until she can move away because she doesn't want her friends to think any differently of her. She doesn't want her family to think anything differently of her. Her parents are going through a divorce, and it's very hard on their family, so she just doesn't want to add to it. So she has decided that once she moves away, then she'll come out of the closet, but like this moment can't hurt, right? Well, the girl ends up being real. So the other girl is actually a Selkie, and she has the opportunity to come onto land as a human and seek out our main character. And of course, she kind of panics because she's like, oh god, I thought you were a mirage type thing. And things, they kind of progress from there. They spend time together and learn about each other, and we figure out what exactly the Selkie actually wants from her, and also just how her life is going to pan out. It was so very sweet. It was cute at times. I will say the friend group kind of annoyed me. They weren't like the most supportive all the time. But of course we see that play out. Trigger warning for being outed, not on your own terms. So plays a pretty big role in this as well. Overall, I really love the stylization of this. I love the artwork. I love the story. I love how it was told, and I just thought it was a really cute story and a really quick read. It looks pretty thick, but it was a really quick read. I read it in one sitting just because it looks that good. Put it down. I ended up giving this a 4.5. So, and the last book I'm going to talk about is the much anticipated Malibu Rising. I have also talked about this in a vlog, so you probably already know my feelings about it. But just in case you don't. So I was very excited about this because Taylor Jenkins Reid has just this knack for writing about fictional famous people and making me think that they are very real. I always think that they're like real people, but I think it's just because she has taken real stories, elements from real celebrity stories, and kind of turned them into some sort of fictional world. I also love that in some aspects these stories are connected. There's some Easter eggs in these. Yeah, so Malibu Rising, we mostly follow this group of siblings. We're kind of back and forth between their life growing up and how their parents met. Their father is a famous rock star, and he has abandoned them, essentially. But we look more into how their parents met, what happened that made their rock star dad disappear, and what the children did in the meantime. So that's the first half of the story, and that story is absolutely gripping. It is just full of just like you can't look away. You know something is about to happen at any given turn, and you're trying to tell the family, like, be careful, look out, but you can't stop them, and you just know something's gonna happen, and you're rooting for them, but you're also like, there's this like melancholy feel throughout it. And so the first half of this is just like, I ate it up. I was gripped. I just wanted to know more about what was happening with the family. So then we get to the second half, and now we are years in the future, and the family has become known for throwing these extravagant parties. They've each kind of created a name for themselves without their father, but this is kind of about how their relationships have turned out and how they are as adults, and like things that they do and the drama that unfolds at this house party. And honestly, the house party is like the least exciting thing about this whole thing. I would have thought the house party would have been exciting, but a lot of it just felt convenient or just like too over the top, or just I didn't care. Like, I was like, who are these characters again? I literally had 30 minutes of this left on audiobook and just couldn't, like, I could not. I had to force myself to listen to the last 30 minutes because I, like, just did not care. I did not care. This is about them kind of reckoning with how their childhood turned out and how they turned out as adults, and, like, what that means now, and the troubles that they have to go through, and the drama that unfolds between them all, and blah, 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 blah. Very disappointing. So disappointing. It just ruined the whole book for me. Like, if this would have just been based around the family dynamics that we had in the first half, like, great, amazing, lovely. And if the second part didn't exist, that would have been fine. Or I think it was just like the whole house party setting just didn't work, especially because, like, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but like, they're not even at the party. So it doesn't even, like, what is the point? It was just, it felt a little rushed and sloppy and just like not her normal writing. I don't know. I did talk about this more in my vlog, and that's just, I just look at this and I just am like so let down. There were so many avenues this could have taken. There was so much potential to really make this an absolutely fantastic story, and I just feel like it was such a letdown. It didn't have a lasting impact. It was just kind of like whatever to me, and I ended up giving this a 2.5. Very disappointing. I hate to say that. I haven't been super impressed with Taylor Jenkins Reid's other books besides Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo to this point, so I'm kind of questioning about whether or not I should continue with her work in the future, because it's just not working for me anymore. That's all, folks. I don't know what I'm doing. I watched Space Jam 2 earlier. That's all I have for this episode of Recent Reads. Let me know if you've read any of these and if you agree or disagree with any of my thoughts or feelings. If you made it to the end of this video, just leave an emoji of your choice down below. I love seeing the things that y'all pick. If y'all have liked this video, don't forget to subscribe to see future videos from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!